Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to be doing a very interesting video today. Today I'm going to be showcasing all the decks that I currently have and play with as of December 2014. Now, I've been playing this game for over 13 years plus, I think it has been, ever since I guess you could say 2002, when the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Originally came to the TCG here in North America. I've been playing this game for a long time. I did take a break between late 2007 and early 2009, but like I've always said time and time again, I've always had my hand in the cookie jar in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've never fully stepped away and just completely stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Altogether. I've always had something, you know, buying cards, trading cards, things like that. So I've accumulated throughout the course of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Many cards and many decks, and there are many of those decks that have stayed around for a long period of time for one reason or another. But today's video we're going to be talking about all these cool decks that I've been playing currently, and if you guys want to see an update of those decks, let me know down in the comment section below. And also, if you like this video, please let me know, because what I'll do is I'll do some other videos related to this, showing off my collection binders, my deck binders, where I keep my decks when I rotate them, and things like that. So please remember to give this video a thumbs up if you really enjoy it, and if it gets 15 likes, then I'll do those other videos. So without further ado, I'm just going to randomly pick up a deck box, and okay, and we're going to start from there. So the first deck I have is Harpies. Harpies was a very fun deck that I've always liked to play with, because I've always liked the archetype, I guess you could say. Plus, it always reminds me of my Valentine. I mean, Hysteric Sign is a great card in its own right, but it's a deck that I originally, when it came out, it was first announced that Harpies were getting more new support. I guess it was, I guess you could say late 2012, like December of 2012, I think it was. You know, people are like, oh my gosh, Harpies are so good. And then when Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy came out, well, Harpies came in that, you know, with their new support like Chandler and Hysteric Sign and things like that. And later on in Joey's world, they got freaking Harpy Dancer, which just made the deck just super good. But as you guys know, what came out of the Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy was Dragon Rulers. So the Harpies didn't really get a chance to really shine and showcase their full ability. I can't wait for the new Harpy card that's coming out. They haven't revealed the effect as of right now when I'm doing this video, but they're coming out with a new Harpy card, and I can't wait, because I've always liked the deck. I've always liked the archetype. I really like Harpies. They look super sexy, I guess you could say, and they're really amazing. And they're really cool because nowadays you can pop decks that set multiple back row. You can just go pop, 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 and then attack with your Harpies. And Hysteric Party is a card, so it's an amazing deck. It's one of my more competitive decks, I guess you could say. So next up, I have all my deck boxes right next to me. We have, oh my gosh, one of my favorite decks of all time. I have good memories with this deck. We have 6 Samurai. I do keep proxies in the deck when I'm switching out cards with other decks, but 6 Samurais. Oh my gosh, I've had so many good memories with this. These are my 3 original Keyzons that I got back when, I think it was, Storm of Ragnarok came out. I've had these guys for over 5 years now. I can't believe it's been that long since the 6 Samurais came out with the New Age 6 Samurais, but I've always loved 6 Samurais. I played them originally when they came out in GX, back when we had Great Shien Shogun, and we also had, what's his name? Grand Master of the 6 Samurai, you know, originally came out. Those were the original boss monsters of 6 Samurais, and Gateway was at 3, and all that crazy stuff back then. But I did play with this deck competitively back when they got the new support. You know, I'm so happy I got my Shien, my Alti Shien back. I sold my original Alti years ago, and then I bought a new one, so I'm very happy about that. But I did play the deck when it was really competitive. I know people are going to say, oh, you know, 6 Samurais suck, but I love the deck. I love ancient history. I love feudal Japan and studying all that stuff, and it's just an amazing deck. It's one of my favorite decks. It'll probably be one of the few decks that I would actually keep if I quit the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I just love it. I love this deck so much, and Machina Beast is a boss of a card nowadays because of pendulums. You know, you can go Machina Beast and they can't pendulum summon or activate their pendulum effects because they're spells. it's just such a fun deck to play, and I've always loved it. And you can always tell how much I love a deck or how long I've had a deck by how many hollow cards are in a deck, except for the exception of Noble Knights, because they're all platinum rare because I got them out of the box set. But it's kind of like battle scars, I guess you could say. How many hollows does this deck have means how much I like that deck and how long I've had it, to some extent. But Six Samurais, I've always loved this deck, and it's a deck I'll never part with. So next up we have, oh gosh, we got Junks. Yeah, we got Junk Synchrons. I'm so happy that Junk Synchrons are getting new support. This is a deck I played back in 5D's era. It's a deck I still play for fun. Yeah, Neo Grand Space Mole, good card. But I've had these guys and the hollow out versions of like Junk Synchron, the ulti versions and stuff. I haven't really updated this deck in a while, as well as Six Samurais, but it's a deck I've always thoroughly enjoyed and liked, and I'm just so happy they're getting new support, and it's going to be easier to make Quasar and things like that. And they're getting their own structure deck, which may be coming out like in July. And then you can see all the tokens I got. I got like all the Junk Warriors, the Tuners, the Quasar, the new Quasar reprint, Formula Synchrons, and ulti Junk Berserkers, and ulti Nitro Warriors from back in the day. I've always loved this deck. It's been a fun deck. It's such a fun deck, and it's just so fun because you can just go Synchro Summon a lot, pretty much every turn, and it's really fun. But my Junk Synchron deck, I've had that for how many years now? It's been about, I'd say about 5 years I've had that deck. Here are about maybe 5 or 4 years. The next deck we have is, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I really am enjoying it myself. It's pretty much going down a walk down memory lane for me right now. The next deck we have is Mecha Phantom Beast. This is a deck that I recently picked up back in August or September. I haven't had it for that very long. If you guys saw the deck profile of it, I have changed a couple of things since doing that deck profile a couple of weeks ago. Like I added Draw Muscle to the deck. I took out the 2 supply units and put Draw Muscle in for the tokens. It works a lot better, I find, as a 2 of. But I've always enjoyed this deck. It's really fun working with the token mechanic. Plus I get to play my old, where are they? I saw they were in here a second ago. My old Scapegoat tokens that I used to play back when I used to play with my friends and brothers. My brother, back when we used to play Scapegoat format with 1000 Eyes Restrict all those years ago. But it's really a fun deck. There's some of my tokens I got. And I really enjoy it. It's really fun. I like the token mechanic, and they look super awesome cool. And I know they're getting a new, I think it is Synchro Monster, or Exceed Monster I think they're getting. That should be coming out in the next couple of sets maybe. I don't know if it was an OCG exclusive, but it looks really cool. So, yeah, Mecha Phantom Beast, awesome archetype. I really built that deck because of the mechanic. It's really a cool mechanic. So next up, we have Gadgets. Yeah. I used to play Gadgets back in the day, and then I pretty much dismantled the deck about 5 years ago, and then I recently rebuilt it about, I guess you could say, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Back when Masked Charmeleon originally came out, I rebuilt this deck because I really like the fact that you can drop Fortress, and Fortress is such a good card, and then you can go for a whole bunch of Exceed monsters. Granted, I know that, what is it, Stellar Knights are the like new age gadget monsters, but still I like playing the original gadgets with the Machina Gadgets. You got Redox, so you can go for your rank 7s, your 4s, and then you can even go for synchro plays because you have Masked Chameleon. I can always call him Masked Charmeleon if you're wondering why, but I need to take Canada. I'm updating this deck currently. I'm waiting for some stuff to come in the mail, and then I'm going to update it. But like I have Gusto Ammo, I have all the original stuff. I used to play with it when I rebuilt the deck, like Giga Giant X. So I really like the deck. It's a fun mechanic. In the future, I may build like Pendulum Gadgets, play around with that if they get like a Pendulum, machine monster and things like that. But it's a really, really fun deck to play with after all these years. And like I do say, I sometimes play with proxies when I'm just like moving around staple trap cards and stuff. So next up we have, I don't know what we have. Oh, I think this is Ghostrick. This is Ghostricks. This is another deck that I've had for about going on 2 years now, actually. I've had this deck. But it's a really fun deck to play with. I'm so happy that I picked Ghostrick Alucard up when he originally came out. When Ghostrick Alucard originally came out, he was like a $10 card, $8 card. And I got the Ghostrick Alucards for about $8. And about 3 weeks later, they went up to like 25, 30 bucks because I think Billy Brake was using Ghostrick's Alucard. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, Ghostrick Alucard, such a good card. And I was like, yeah, it's a pretty good card, not just in Ghostricks, but in multiple decks. So I really like the Ghostrick mechanic because it always gets me in the mood for the holidays, like Halloween, Thanksgiving, I guess you could say, Christmas, New Year's, because you have Jack Frost, that favorite time of the year, like Christmas, even though he's a ghost, and you got like Ghostrick Spectre, which looks hilarious with his tongue sticking out like that. But it's a really fun deck to play around the holidays. I really play it like between I guess you could say October and January. I play this deck a lot at locals and whatnot because it's just a fun deck to play with the holiday themes, and people just hate it sometimes because it just stalls and hits your opponent directly, and it's really a fun deck, and I really like the archetype, and I can't wait to get some new support for it eventually. So next up we have, I know this deck box because the deck box with tape is actually my Blue Eyes White Dragon deck, so I actually kind of know my deck boxes even though I have so many decks. So next up we have the Blue Eyes White Dragon deck profile, which if you haven't seen on the channel, I did like a week or so ago. I really like the build that I did. I've been testing it out some more. I really like it. Some people have asked me, well, why don't you play this? Well, why don't you play that? And I always have to say, you have to keep in mind, the main reason for this deck is Blue Eyes White Dragon. That is the main focus of the deck. But I love the deck to death. It is such a fun deck to play with, and I've been hollowing out this deck very slowly, but I really like the deck a lot. It's so fun to play with. And I'm hoping, if you're watching this video right now, I'm hoping in the future maybe to eventually finish building, because of the new stuff that's come out the Dark Magician deck. And then eventually on this channel, what I want to have sometime early next year is have a Blue Eyes White Dragon, my Blue Eyes White Dragon deck versus my Dark Magician deck on this channel. Have a duel, like a match, I guess, against Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon to see which is the better deck. But I hope to do that eventually. Next year sometime, but that's going to be really fun. That's something I'm working on for the progress. First I gotta finish getting the cards for the Dark Magician deck, and then we can do that. And I apologize if this video is going to be really long because I really enjoy talking about all the decks, and we're not even halfway done yet. So next up we have Spirits, and the reason I know this is because this is the only deck I actually play my Hollow Trags in. I got from Show and Jump promos like years ago. But this is the Spirit deck. I built this deck like last January. It's almost been a year since I've been playing this deck fully. It's a really fun deck because you can use creature swap in it, and then you can summon your summon your Arotama, summon your Nikotama, summon your Arotama, summon a spirit monster. It goes back to your hand. Summon your Arotama, get a search off, creature swap it, get your opponent's monster, then your spirit monster bounce back to your hand. It's just such a cool deck, and a lot of friends like playing it, especially because I have like the Chaos engine, so you can run things like Chaos Sorcerer, BLS, Dust Dark Spirit blows up the field. You got Tragodia, because you'll get so much advantage in your hand, you can just drop a Tragodia and just have this big, huge beat stick on the field. It's a really, really, really fun deck, and I really like it. But it's a deck I've been playing around with more and more, and I'll probably do an update eventually of it because I really like it, and I've been trying out online, that is, some new builds for it. So we'll have to see how that goes. It's a really fun deck, and I highly suggest you play around with it. But there should be an update of that. And do keep in mind, like I said, if there's any decks you want to see an update of, just let me know down in the comment section below. So I'm probably going to make this a maybe two-part video because this is already on 14 minutes. I don't think anybody's watching this probably right now. But next up we have Dark Worlds. Oh my gosh. I built Dark Worlds back before we had Grapha, actually. And then I stopped playing the deck. So I played this back when we had GX. Same time I was playing Six Samurais, actually, when I built the original Six Samurais before we got the New Age Six Samurais. But I built this back when I think it was a silver and gold with the boss monsters, and then you had the Overlord one. It wasn't really supposed to be the boss monster like Grapha, but it was nowhere near as good. And back when you would activate effects and you were like, oh, I get the effect because of this, and you were like, oh no, that doesn't work. So like Regeki Break and, you know, Phoenix Wing Blast. We didn't know the difference between a cost and effect, you know, how they get the effect off. But that was a long time ago, and I really like the deck because I like playing a control variation with like Skill Drain, Epidemic Virus, and Mind Control, and Drag Down. I know people hate Dark Worlds, and they're not really popular at the moment because of the fact that, you know, everything's a floater, you know, with like Burning Abyss and whatnot, and everybody's maining Dark Imprisoning Mirrors, but it's still a fun deck to play, and it's really fast, and it's an awesome deck to play. I really like the deck a lot. And probably do an update of that eventually. I got so many decks I need to do an update of. I've just been kind of busy, if you guys know my channel. The next deck I have it right next to me because I've been working on it, is the Falafel deck. Now, I'm not going to show you this entire deck. I'll just go through it really quickly. This is a deck that, if you've been watching my mail call videos, which if you haven't, I would highly suggest you do that, because of the fact that that will tell you what decks I'm currently working on. But I've been working on the Falafel deck, playing around with it. It's a really fun deck. I like it because it's, you know, Arc V is turning out to be a good show at the moment, and for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I really like it. I mean, I like it as much as I liked 5Ds, or I really like, you know, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Show. The main character is really awesome, and the side characters all are having story development very well. So this deck is going to get better, I think, with time, as long as all the, like, you know, super heavyweight samurais and the melodious monsters. So the next deck box we have, did I say deck breast we have, oh my gosh, is my favorite deck of all time, hands down, Gravekeepers. This deck I will never part with for all the, you know, if somebody offered me $100, I would say no. Same reason for Six Samurais. These are the two main decks back in the day that I got a lot of tops with when I got back into the game, like in 09, 010. Gravekeepers, because, you know, Royal Tribute at the time was at 3, Solemn Warning was at 3, and I think Solemn Judgment was at 1 still at the time, but it was such an awesome deck, and it just controlled the format, and I've always loved this deck. It fits my playing style. Lock your opponent down, summon big monsters, like with 2,000 attack, and just run over your opponent and use their effects, and constantly gain advantage at the same time. So control your opponent's graveyard, and it really hurts so many decks, especially with Shaman out as a card now. It just hurts so many decks. If you can get Shaman out against a Burning Abyss player, and, you know, have like a Tomb on the back row so you can stop like a Phoenix Wing Blast or a Karma Cut, you're in pretty decent shape right there, because you can stop their effects from triggering off in the graveyard when they send their Burning Abyss monsters to the grave, or Shadows, or Stellar Knights, or whatever. But it's a really fun deck to play with. I think it's going to go out of favor more because of Pendulum monsters, because they don't go to the graveyard, but it's going to be a deck that I'll never part with for all the money in the world, and I really love it. And I've had good times with this deck in competition plays, you know, at big tournaments. Same thing with Six Samurais. I've had good experience with this deck. I've had tops with this deck. And some of the common versions of the card you see in this deck, probably the ones that I have had since the beginning when I originally had this deck, when they originally came out, because I'm not joking. Six Samurais and Gravekeepers all the way. I've always loved those two decks. So, actually, I stopped buying deck boxes a couple of years ago, but I put all other decks that I play, I keep them in my tins. If I'm not rotating them, I'll keep them in my tins because I can store more decks in a more compressed space. So, let's open this up. And this is where I keep some of the decks. These are sleeves right now that I'm using for deck building, but we have, in here, we have Fire Kings. The Fire King deck is really awesome. A lot of people have been saying this is a pretty good deck actually right now. I don't know about that, but Wolfbark being at 3 really helps the deck. Tanky being at 3 really helps the deck. Onslaught of the Fire King is an amazing card in its own right. The deck is really good. The problem is people are not running as much destruction effects now. They're running things like D-Prison and, you know, things like that. But the thing is, some people are still running destruction, you know, effect cards, so you can get away with it. But the good thing is, the deck I have found can function on its own, because you can destroy your own monsters and then get the effects off and be pretty good. So you may not go super plus, but you'll go plus pretty much a lot. And you can make, you know, Garunix is a boss monster. High Avatar Garunix is an amazing boss monster there. Oh my gosh, I'm on 20 minutes. So I'm actually on 20 minutes right now, and because of that reason, I'm actually